Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Rick Wilson, as always. Thank you for joining us once again. And I am absolutely delighted to be joined today by Jim Acosta, who has become one of the major voices here on Substack in this new media environment we're all building. And I'm so glad you came on today, Jim. I wanted to start out today with the story that is eating Washington alive, and that's this MAGA civil war we've got going on over the tease and then the denial of the Epstein releases. And I thought it would fade away by today, but it seems like it's still the fire level is still intensifying inside of the MAGA world. What do you make of this moment? Because I think it's pretty rare that they get divided this much this long.
Yeah, begun this MAGA war has, I guess, you could say. It's interesting. I mean, a couple of thoughts. I mean, one is, when I've covered Trump for a long time, and when I saw him in that cabinet meeting on Tuesday say, hey, wait a minute, why are you asking this question about Jeffrey Epstein? I thought to myself, oh boy, something's going on here. What's happening? Why is he so touchy about this? And then Pam Bondi chimes in and says, oh, when I talked about the client list, I was just talking about them generally, like the MLK and JFK files. Well, okay, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump was just fine with releasing the JFK files. Where the hell are the Jeffrey Epstein files? And to me, this is Epstein Gate. And it's what did the president know and when did he know it? And to me, I want to know the answer to this question. Did Donald Trump or anybody inside the White House have anything to do with the release of that DOJ memo that attempted to sweep things under the rug? To me, if that is traced back to the White House, it's a whole new ballgame, Rick.
I think that's exactly right. And I think it's the kind of thing that we have seen a lot of times now where an administration gets too clever by half. They get too crafty. And they make a decision to do something incredibly stupid and cover something up. I mean, we saw this. We've seen this from Watergate on in large and small scandals. This is a classic sort of mistake that they're making, and I don't understand why they're so dumb about it.
I don't understand either. I mean, they are dumb about a lot of things. And, my question is how much heat is turned up on Donald Trump and all of this? Because you're right, there is a bit of a MAGA civil war going on right now. You see Laura Loomer going nuts. Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying release the Epstein files and so on. But they tend to be directing their fire at Pam Bondi. Laura Loomer has been on this rampage. We need to fire Pam Bondi and so on. But nobody is really cranking up the heat on Donald Trump. They know that they can't really do that because then they lose their clout. They lose their access over at the White House. And so, my question to MAGA is, when are you guys going to stand on principle? You guys have been hooting and hollering for the last several years, release the Epstein files.
Almost for a decade now.
For a decade now. And assuming, operating under the assumption that it was going to be all of these major Democratic figures who are going to get torched. And my goodness, I mean, how many times have we seen that video? Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein doing the white man's overbite. With Donald Trump, he's got the Joe Pesci from JFK eyebrows.
Oh, yeah.
Joe Pesci and JFK. He's got the weird eyebrows and that one. I don't know what, this was before the orange makeup. I don't know. But MAGA, to some extent there, yes, it's a bit of a circular firing squad. But for some reason, Donald Trump has been staying out of this fray. And I find that to be interesting, too.
He's not the most disciplined person, as you well know.
Yeah.
But when something directly threatens him, he gets much more disciplined and much more focused. And I feel like the agita that we're sensing around him in the White House and in the administration about this, it is inevitably going to come back to Donald Trump had a conversation with Susie Wiles, and Susie Wiles called Pam Bondi, and Pam Bondi went off from there. And it is one of those failure modes where when you're doing a cover up in government, it's the old Russian adage: 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. This will leak. It will get out. It will be exposed to a greater or lesser degree. And I just find it fascinating how much risk he's willing to accept here by trying to hide this material.
I think that's right. I mean, it's not the crime, it's the cover up in many of these cases. And, to me, you're absolutely right. You're right on, Rick. If there is some kind of evidence, if there's a paper trail, if there's something that can be tied back to a Trump directive, to Susie Wiles, to Pam Bondi,
Yep.
I mean, it was just a little too cute the way they put this out on the 4th of July weekend. It was, I believe, Alex Eisenstadt, who's a political reporter, who broke this story. And Rick, you know how this world works. When something is leaked to a political reporter and not a Justice Department reporter,
Right.
Okay, something's going on there. What's that all about? And I just think that there are lots of questions here. And, to some extent, this is Donald Trump and the rest of these cuckoo heads getting hoisted on their own petard, their own conspiracy theorist petard. And for many years, as we were just saying, Trump, J.D. Vance, Kash Patel. I mean, it's the whole lot of them. It's almost like his entire cabinet.
Right. Bongino and Patel in particular were purveyors of the Epstein narrative that said, oh, it's Bill Clinton, it's Barack Obama, it's Oprah, it's Bill Gates, it's this, it's that. For years, I mean, this is the mystery. And I wonder if the MAGA folks out there in the country have processed this cognitive dissonance of, okay, if this file is full of Democrats who are horrible monsters, why aren't you revealing it? And I think that's where this tension's coming from, the grassroots folks who are really, I have never seen them this angry in a very
Alex
long
Jones
time.
Was
crying. Do we have that? I think we have that tape somewhere.
A disaster. I don't know how they got Trump and the DOJ to do this, because the public is not buying it. No one is buying it. So I never saw any evidence of Trump involved in any of the stuff that came out. It was all fake. The fake Jane Does, all the crap, E. Jean Carroll, the crazy leftist cat lady, all of it. So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm gonna go throw up, actually, and this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically gonna puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now.
Oof. Yeah. It's not good when his mouth is watering.
I never want to have that image in my head again.
Now I want to throw up. Yeah.
But I mean, as we came out of this incredibly terrible weekend in Texas, where Trump suddenly tries in this press or in this this Oval Office or cabinet room, I guess, briefing, where he's like, oh, we should be focusing on Texas, which they didn't do anything for 4 days with Texas until that point. I just feel like there's a stress fracture here, not only in the White House, but in this movement that has been so coherent and so unified for so long. They always like swing back into line when it comes to messaging. And this is the one time that I've seen, maybe since January 6th, where they are fragmented and where there's this. I don't even know if Fox can get them out of this hole. I mean, I expect we're going to get a lot of culture war stuff over the weekend.
Yeah, they're bashing Superman. The Trump people put out the investigation into Comey and Brennan, even though they already do that before. I mean, it's sort of like they got to put on summer reruns. Is that what they're doing now? It's like, give me a break. The other thing too, Rick, is that if you delve into some of the details of the Epstein case, I mean, it is rather intriguing. For the longest time, I sort of wrote this off as, well, these are just the foaming at the mouth lunatics on the far right going nuts over this. But I had Julie Brown with Miami Herald on my podcast. Yeah. She's absolutely brilliant, terrific investigative journalist. She herself says she's looked at all the evidence, talked to a lot of the people involved. She's not convinced that Epstein committed suicide. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole or anything.
Me either.
But there are some questions about this case, this missing video, and I don't know. Now that I'm focused on thinking to myself, maybe there is something going on here.
The chain of coincidences, the Occam's razor of coincidences of they took a roommate out of his cell. The guards were, quote, sleeping. Now there's
blankets in the mattresses.
Right. The blankets in the mattresses, all these things. And look, when I worked for Giuliani, I got a tour of MCC one time. and it was a lot more squared away, at least from my, guy, not with a lot of prison experience, but it seemed more squared away and organized and routine. And there were cameras on every damn surface, and somehow we only get one camera with a gap in it. I mean, the whole thing just smells
weird,
just creepy and weird.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've got a guy who had a reputation in Palm Beach as a Florida guy. I did a ton of corporate business down in Palm Beach. I had a lot of billionaire developer clients and all these wealthy guys down there that hired my firm to do crisis PR and all this other crap.
Yeah.
Epstein was like a drumbeat under the surface. I never dealt with anybody directly but these guys were all like Jeffrey's parties, Jeffrey's girls.
Yeah.
And Trump and Epstein were running buddies in Palm Beach and New York during that window. And the death of this guy at the time, I remember a lot of Republicans were like, oh, Hillary Clinton had him killed. I don't know. The key bono argument here is, again, I hate the rabbit hole. I hate how attractive this rabbit hole is, but this rabbit hole is weirdly compelling right now.
And hey, they opened it up. You know what I mean? And Donald Trump made this his problem when he freaked out the other day in the cabinet meeting. I mean, to me, and when Pam Bondi, I mean, not to offend anybody, I don't mean to offend anybody, but I mean, she sounds like Ricky Bobby's girlfriend,
Right.
I'm a racer's wife. I don't work. I mean, could she sound like, just more ridiculous and more like cartoonish in this moment? The way she's like, I was just talking about the files,
right.
The files.
It was, and I mean, that was like the least credible way of putting it. It's like, please don't play like law school first year semantics bullshit with us, girl.
Yeah. And she's the attorney general. And she was the attorney general of Florida. I mean, I have to assume she knows something.
Right. By the way, this idea of 200 pages of documents.
Yeah.
And then she demands to see more of it. Okay. Are you telling me then that a major federal case like Epstein produced only 200 pages of evidence, and when Alex Acosta or when Alex Acosta traded, it only produced 200? Well, get out of here.
Yeah,
I mean, they generate 200 pages in a federal investigation in an hour sometimes.
That's right. And and Julie when I talked to Julie Brown with the Miami Herald, she said when Pam Bondi said, "Oh, the list is on my desk," she said she laughed because there's no way all of those files, the Epstein files, she said they wouldn't even fit in her office.
Right.
She said that, you've had multiple agencies investigate this for some almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this goes back for a very long time. And yes, some of it is videotapes and so on, but a lot of these files, Rick, have been redacted. Again, not to sound like I'm going down the rabbit hole and everything, but a lot of these files were heavily redacted. And I mean, talking to the experts that I've been talking to, the question is just sort of looming out there. What's with all the redactions? Why can't we unredact some of this stuff?
And there's one layer of redaction which I understand, like the stuff that's CSAM material and the identities of minors, but that's trivial. And it's the people. My pendant question is, who are the people that are involved in this? Who are the people that are who are the people that Ghislaine Maxwell is in jail? By the way, right down the road from me, she's in the North Florida Women's Federal Correctional Facility, which is a very unpleasant place by all accounts.
Interesting.
Who did she traffic them to?
Yeah.
Was this just traffic to nobody? Traffic, the idea of it, concept of trafficking? It is the gap that they've given here for the public to look at this and go, no, bro, this is not real. You're not on the up and up, is monstrous.
And to have, to have Elon Musk, go after Trump and say he's in the Epstein files. And then earlier this week, he's saying Steve Bannon's in the Epstein files. And then Steve Bannon comes out and says, he wants to have the Epstein files released.
Right.
They've, as my mother used to say, you make your bed, you lie in it.
Oh yeah.
And all of these characters have all been, running around, like jackasses asking for these files to be released and so on. Okay, well, let's have at it, because there are a lot of questions here.
Let it roll.
Can we get Ghislaine, on Piers Morgan or something?
Listen, I'm really tempted to drive down there.
You should just go over there
see her and just go say hi, because I think it'd be fascinating.
Bring her a carton of smokes. See what happens.
Carton of smokes in a shiv.
We've seen too many movies, but too many. You never know.
I think I'm going to do it. I'll do a Substack live with Ghislaine Maxwell. We'll see how the traffic goes.
Phone call from Leavenworth. Yeah.
So to change the subject a little bit, we've had this flood the zone with shit effect happening in the last month or so.
Yeah.
Iran, the big bill, all these things. Pentagon, and who knows who's in charge at the Pentagon. You've covered politics. You've covered White Houses before. My view of this White House is that, unlike the centralized command in a lot of White House organizations, this has become 100 small warring camps, all trying to keep Donald Trump happy, feed him the things that stroke his ego. What's your take on where the administration is right now, organizationally and politically? Because my sense is, it's not even what it was in the first term in terms of control of message and strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in the grandpa needs a cookie phase of the Trump era. I mean, he just on a regular basis seems out to lunch, says things that are incoherent. The orange makeup looks more and more just freakish and bizarre, Hunchback of Notre Dame like. Yeah. And to me, I think you're absolutely right. They're sort of all over the place, and you do have different power centers, I think, to some extent. I think Stephen Miller, unlike the first administration, is essentially sort of an all-powerful chief of staff figure without the title. And what we saw during the first Trump administration with child family separation, I mean, has just been supercharged with jet fuel this time around with the mass deportation raids. And we cover it sometimes, and then it falls back onto the back burner. We start to cover other things. Yeah. But it is, by and large, I think the most significant thing that this administration is doing this time around. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before in modern political history, the way they've been. I mean, it was just today, I think there were some pieces coming out. They raided a farm, I believe it was out in California, and they were using tear gas and everything on the protesters who were there. So this is starting to unravel in a major way. From a foreign policy standpoint, I mean, this whole idea that Pete Hegseth is saying, no, Ukraine, you can't have weapons, and Donald Trump is saying you can't have, that just seems like a shit show. Like, what is going on there? And I'm sorry, but like when Donald Trump says, "Oh, we're going to get them the weapons," I'll believe it when
I see them coming off the plane,
when the boxes arrive,
right?
And so there's a level of clownish incompetence this time around, and a lot of it can be traced back to what Laura Loomer apparently was saying the other day on some radio show, that this is a Fox News cabinet. I mean, Trump has run out of people to put in charge of NASA. And
Sean, the guy from The Real World is running NASA. I'm not getting on that rocket, dude.
I know. I mean, this is like, the aviation picture has not been pretty since he came on board as the transportation secretary. Now we're going to give him aerospace. This seems like it's going in a bad direction. And so, Rick, I mean, to me, like, this, you came out of the world of Republican politics. We've just always assumed and this kind of existed during the first Trump administration when they had serious people like John Kelly and General Mattis and people like that. It's just been a sort of a baseline, expectation. Democrat, Republican administrations, you got heavy hitters in the cabinet. I think Biden, to some extent, did not have as many heavy hitters as he probably needed.
No,
that's right. And this time around, it's no heavy hitters. They're all, just loyalists and hacks and rejects. And
as Trump wants to make it good on TV.
It's just ridiculous. Like, come on, this guy is going to run NASA.
This guy running NASA. Look, the guy that they fire, or the guy that they drop, Jared Isaacman, say what you will, but he is a guy who's been into space several times. He runs a space exploration company. He's a fighter pilot. He's a pilot. He was eminently qualified for the job, which is rare in Trump world, which is, of course, why they couldn't have him, I guess. But that I feel like, all cabinets shake out after the first year. There's always a little bit of deck chair moving at the end of the first year. I've heard rumors that Susie Wiles wants to go.
Wouldn't be shocked by that.
And
is that because Ron DeSantis is going to be brought in as defense secretary or something?
There was a rumor that DeSantis was up for defense secretary, and Susie killed that idea.
Mm-hmm. But they were all together at the Alligator Alcatraz the other day.
Yeah, but she is. My understanding is she is reaching a limit where Stephen Miller, being the de facto chief of staff and the de facto head of government, is she values her reputation as a serious person, and I think that this is not an administration friendly to serious people.
I always thought she was serious not to go on a tangent, but I thought she was always a serious political operative in Florida when I covered 100%. Politics, and was pretty responsive to me as a reporter. I don't want to get her in any trouble back in the day.
Right.
But, again, it's sort of like the Ryan Priebus, and then wasn't that the look she gave Trump during the Zelensky thing? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see why she would, because she sort of falls more into the mold of like the Ryan Priebuses and the John Kellys and like the more serious establishment types who just are not welcome.
Like me, she comes out of Bush universe in her origin story. But so I wanted to on one other White House tangent. I have a weird vibe or sense or something that the White House press corps, which was, I thought, for generations, one of the most valuable aspects of the media, where there is a direct interface with the government and the leadership of the country. I feel like a lot of them seem a little checked out now. Like they let Leavitt just roll with her bullshit. And I feel like a few of them, Caitlin Collins and some others that have been around there lately have pushed it. Have they reached the point where they're just like, I'll get thrown out of the press room if I ask a tough question? Is that where it's at? I'm trying to sort it out, and I'm not doing a media bashing thing right now. I'm just like, this is just like a fundamental human dynamic. Like, if you lose access to all of it, how much are they going to constrain themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's a complicated situation, Rick. I mean, and I'll try to do my best to not go on and speak in paragraphs here, but I mean, you'll remember during the first Trump administration when they went after me, took my press pass away. Yep. Yeah, they were going after my news organization, but they were basically going after me.
It was you.
And this time around, they're going after whole news organizations. What they did to the Associated Press, which, by the way, the White House Correspondents Association, its reaction to that was just so weak-kneed. Like, come on, guys, a tersely worded statement,
right?
A letter, a strongly worded letter. That's not going to get the job done. And then the way that Trump, and I really believe this, he's cracked the code in terms of how to hurt the corporate media, and the way he's gone after CBS and ABC. As I've been saying, when 60 Minutes is in trouble, we're all in trouble. But his ability to force out the president of CBS News, the executive producer of 60 Minutes, Rick, you've been around a long time like me covering this stuff. It's unreal. That's wild shit to see the executive producer forced out because he says we're getting corporate pressure from up above because of pressure being brought on them by the White House.
By the ownership,
because by the ownership, because they need to get this media deal through. I thought that was a shameful. It was basically paying a bribe to the president. I mean, what on earth is going on here? I'm only saying all of that to answer your question, Rick, because I think all of those pressures do filter down from the corporate owners to the executives who run the news organizations, to the White House correspondents and the other mainline correspondents who cover politics in Washington, because they just naturally feel that pressure and heat from their executives who feel it from up above. And it's a very dangerous situation. We have to have journalists and the press asking really tough questions and holding this president's feet to the fire. I mean, him more than anybody else that I've ever seen as president of the United States. My God. And
crazy.
I think it's a very difficult situation. And I have been clamoring for, if the Democrats ever get back into power and we have free elections that result in Democrats getting back in power, I've been advocating for building up public broadcasting. I'm really happy with what independent media is doing right now. It's wonderful. You and I, Substack, YouTube, and everything else.
Yep.
That's all wonderful and good. And there's a place for that. But I think a way to really push back against the crazies and this whole movement of deregulation of talk radio that resulted in Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and all these assholes on the right. I think you need to build up public media in this country to the point where it is highly difficult for the Republicans to slash and burn it 10 and 15 years from now. If PBS and NPR were something along the lines of like the BBC and Canadian broadcasting, Rick, I think we would go a long way in tackling disinformation in this country. My personal opinion.
Too. And I think it would we'd get back to a shared set of facts.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Jim Acosta, my friend, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. I know you've got to bounce and I got to bounce, but we will continue to enjoy Laura Loomer melting down, and because she is melting down in a way that is just, folks, look up that tweet. It's absolutely magnificent.
Just pour that melted Laura Loomer butter all over your popcorn.
Delicious Laura Loomer. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again next time.
See you, Rick. Thanks.
See ya.